1999 and has over 20 years of R&D experience in renewable fuel synthesis and utilization technology. He will be talking about postdoctoral fellowships, opportunities at CSIRO, and giving a general introduction to CSIRO and information how those positions are offered there. Please welcome Dr. Sarbjit.
Good evening and welcome all. There has been a lot of discussion about publications that PhD students must publish a lot. So I just want to give an example, my example. I did my bachelor's degree from REC Nagpur, Regional Engineering College Nagpur, and then I did my master's and PhD from IIT Kanpur. So I came here in 94, 95 and I was looking for a job, and I found that there was an opportunity in Monash University. So this was Professor David Koch. He was a chief of one of the minerals division of CSIRO, and then he had retired, and then he joined Monash University as an honorary professor there. So I approached him, and I had just submitted my PhD thesis at IIT Kanpur and even had not defended it, or I was not even granted a PhD degree. So I spoke to him, discussed about my background and my interest in this project. You know, it was a ARC grant. It was so he had applied for that grant with collaboration with Queensland Alumina Limited. That was the company, you know. So the issue was on bare liquor, you know, how they do corrosion of mild steel and stainless steel heat exchangers. So I had not too much background in that, you know, but just I discussed my things with him, and he said, "Yeah, you are the right person for the job." So he took me to the office, you know, university's chemical engineering office, and he asked the lab manager. He introduced me to him, and then said, "Oh, we're going to hire Sarbjit for this job." So he said, and then the lab manager, he asked, you know, what about the salary and other stuff, what we should fix. He said, just same as a PhD person who has already done his PhD. Then I said, Professor Koch, I haven't finished my PhD, I have just only submitted. So you know what question he asked me? He asked me that how many publications you have in your PhD. So I had 2 publications master thesis, and I had 5 publications in my PhD degree. So when I told him I have 5 publications, he said, "Oh, that's equivalent to a PhD degree. You already got a PhD degree." So he fixed my salary equivalent to a person who has already finished his PhD degree. So that's how important it is. So that's one example, good example. And second example is that you can't have any excuses of not publishing at least one paper. That paper is going to be a review article. Now, because before you start your PhD degree, before you write your hypothesis, on what you are going to work on, you need to find what is happening around the world, what other people have already done the work on. So that's about 3 to 4 months. Spend that time and write a review article. And the advantage of that review article is, one is you have a publication. Number 2 is that authenticates the work which you are going to do. And number 3, review articles get lots of citations. Remember that. Okay.
We all have about maximum citations for review papers.
Yeah, that's right. I published about 7 or 8 just review articles, because every time we want to work on something, first thing is I ask my staff that you must review the area and publish an article on that before we start really looking at it. Okay. So CSIRO, just introduction about CSIRO. So CSIRO is quite similar to what we have in India. It's CSIR, right? CSIR is a Council for Industrial Research, I think, yeah, that's right. And here CSIRO is similar, Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization. So we have about 5,500 staff in there, and about 2,000 people have PhD degrees in there. And so CSIRO has about $1.4 billion budget, and out of that, I think about $700 to $800 million we get from the government, and rest of the money we have to generate from the industry. So why? Because that's how it makes us relevant to the industry. We don't want to just do research which is not relevant to the industry. So that's the ratio, so about 700, 800 million government gives us, and about 500, 600 million, we generate from working with the industry. One, secondly, we have lots of patents, so lots of revenue comes from royalties, that money comes from there. So we work with over 2,800 plus industry partners, and CSIRO has different sites, about 55 sites across Australia, and we are in the top 1% of global research agencies. So each year, 6 CSIRO technologies contribute to over $5 billion to the economy. So we have about 3,773 patents. So we are the biggest patent holders in Australia. And CSIRO has spent out more than 150 companies, and we hold 300 licenses, mostly with Australian companies, and we come in top 1% of the top 15 of the 22 research fields, in terms of the publications. And 1,200 plus schools benefit from our scientists in school programs, and then over 200,000 people visit every year on CSIRO. And there are lots of inventions CSIRO has done. Just the topmost, Wi-Fi. So that was invented by CSIRO, and then we have polymer banknotes, the plastic notes, that was invented by CSIRO with collaboration with, of course, some universities, and then some of the extended wear contacts, and there are several other examples, of inventions. So there are different business units in CSIRO. That's a list. I belong to energy division of CSIRO. So in energy, we do a lot of research on fossil fuels such as coal, natural gas, oil, and we also do research on renewable sources such as solar PV, wind generators, and also we do research on some of the technology, which we are going to see maybe in 5, 10, or 20 years, that's related to hydrogen technologies. So that's the group, which I lead. So I'm going to go through some of those things with you. So I lead a team of about 8 people. So there are material scientists, electrochemists, and physicists, and some technical support in there. And we do research in areas such as fuel cells. So fuel cells are basically the power generation devices. They can use any type of fuel. They can use hydrogen. They can use natural gas, or they can use also liquid fuels. We have lots of patents. We have generated, my team, and lots of patent applications still we are pursuing. And we have industrial engagement as well with several companies such as Orica. Orica is a major ammonia producing company. They produce about 1,000 tons of ammonia per day. So we are working with that company from 2011. And then Atco Gas is a company in Western Australia. They have the major gas network. That's the infrastructure belongs to them. And then BCIA is the Brown Coal Initiative. That's the company which gets the money from the government and then distributes to the researchers. And then Energy Australia, it's a utility company. And Delta, they sell batteries. So we work with them as well. We have strategic alliance with a number of universities. And we have state-of-the-art R&D facilities. And we are one of the leading groups in solid-state electrochemistry and fuel cell technologies. So our broad area of research, it's developing membrane-based technologies for production of renewable fuels such as hydrogen, ammonia, syngas. Syngas is a mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. So where the major feedstock is just water, air, CO2, and renewable energy sources. So not only producing these renewable fuels, but also using these renewable fuels for producing power in terms of electricity or heat. And also, if you want to transport renewables from one place to the other, you have to convert into some liquid fuels which can be easily transported to different countries, and also using these renewable fuels as a feedstock for other materials, other chemicals. Now on the postdoc fellowships at CSIRO. So the purpose is to provide young scientists with opportunity to gain experience in order to develop capabilities for the Australian nation, produce pool of early career researchers so they become potential employees of CSIRO, refresh and add value for CSIRO's research activities through original insight, new knowledge or techniques, and to identify and recruit future science leaders. So we have about 40 postdoc fellowships every year offered to the students, PhD students, and the total grant money is 105K, and that's 105K per annum for 3 years. So that means your salary will be around 95K if you are a postdoctorate fellow at CSIRO. So that's so prerequisite is that you should have completed your PhD degree, but also you should not have more than 3 years postdoctorate experience. So that's the maximum. If you have more than 3 years, you can't apply for that position. And then CSIRO can sponsor overseas applicants as well who are eligible for obtaining Australian work visa. So that's a pretty good point for the students from India. Apart from the postdoctoral fellowship scholarships, we also offer top-up scholarship. For example, if you are doing already a PhD and you are less than 1 year into your PhD, you can apply for a top-up scholarship, and that consists of about $7,000. That is added to your stipend, the money you get from your base scholarship, and also your operating money about 10K. That's for your all the lab consumables and everything, whatever you want to do with those $10,000. So these scholarships are offered, for until the completion date of your base scholarship is there, and funding for students who have already commenced their PhD, as I mentioned, they can also apply for that. And if student and supervisor wish to extend that duration of scholarship beyond 3 years, that's also possible. And there are some links that you can go to the CSIRO website and find all the information from there. Thank you.
Questions for Dr.
You gave quite a good insight into the new energy technologies you are working on, especially like synthetic gas.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, are you also researching on waste to energy, which is like a offshore topic nowadays?
Yes, we are not doing, but there are other people doing. When I say renewable energy sources, I'm talking about how Australia's renewable sources such as solar PV or wind generators, the electricity from those sources can be converted into some fuels, some liquid form fuels, which can be then transported to different countries, like Japan and Korea. So it's a quite hot topic now because Australia has very high amount of renewable source. It's about 25,000 gigawatt of potential source as compared to only 6,000 gigawatt of installed capacity worldwide. So that's such a potential Australia has. So we had a minerals boom. Now we want to enter into a renewable energy boom. So we can convert these renewable energy sources into fuels such as hydrogen or methanol or any other liquid fuel such as ammonia, and then that can be shipped to places like Korea and Japan who are hungry for these all the fuels and energies. So we work in that area, but definitely in CSIRO a lot of work is going on converting biomass into other fuels. So that they also in my business energy. So I can give you contacts if you want to talk to them. No problem. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for the talk. So I can see that CSIRO maintains a web page that shows available postdoctoral opportunities. But apart from that, is it usual that PhD student can contact the principal research scientist?
Definitely. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. PhD students can start contacting even before completing their PhD degree. But I think also for getting a top-up scholarship, that's a good opportunity to at least have some linkage, with with scientists in CSIRO, so do the collaboration part, you can do that.
I actually have had two students who had a co-supervisor from CSIRO, which then leads on to, so it's a part of building the network.
Yeah.
So I think everyone should contact industry partners, CSIRO people, they have responsibility. If they find the events and people are prepared to spend time, it's good.
Yeah.
Avinash?
Thank you, sir, for the talk. You have mentioned like in CSIROs and opportunities for postdocs and PhDs. So is there any direct opportunities after completing my PhD or from PhD that is any direct opportunity to get a job over there?
I think the postdoctoral fellowship is the first thing, that's offered to PhD students once they complete. I mean, there can be some short-term projects, you can approach, where you can, but there will be only short-term projects. This is a 3 years fellowship you get, and those can be around 6 months, 1 year, but you can't be offered 3 years, position there. Yeah.
You know, really through like that postdoc opportunities.
That's the only way, yeah.
My question is pretty much aligned to this. Like, we have a internship opportunity which we can start maybe 6 months before the completion of PhD and then come up. Also, like, is getting a PR necessary to get into?
No. That's what I mentioned in one of my slides, So that's not a requirement. So CSR can take care of that.
So do you provide employer sponsored visa to these postdocs? Do they provide 457?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about 2 years ago, 457 was finished.
Yeah. But yes.
One last question.
We had 2 people, we got one person from US as a postdoctorate fellow. 2 we got from US, and 1 we got from South Korea now as a postdoctorate fellow. So they were not citizens, or they didn't have PR. So, but now once their position was made to indefinite, then they applied for their
It's employer sponsored.
yeah employer sponsored visa. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But what for students who are in their second year or third year of their PhD, they should be eligible for their
Not for second, third, that's a prerequisite, that you should be, less than 1 year into your PhD, and then you can apply for that.
If you have any more questions, you can talk to him during the networking session. So, thank you so much.